Section 1.3 CDL Disqualifications. Section 1.3.1 General. You may not drive a CMV if you are disqualified for any reason. 1.3.2 Alcohol, leaving the scene of an accident, and commission of a felony. It is illegal to operate a CMV if your blood alcohol concentration is 0.04% or more. If you operate a CMV, you shall be deemed to have given your consent to alcohol testing. You will lose your CDL for at least 1 year for a first offense for driving a CMV if your BAC is 0.04% or higher, driving a CMV under the influence of alcohol, refusing to undergo blood alcohol testing, driving a CMV while under the influence of a controlled substance, leaving the scene of an accident involving a CMV, committing a felony involving the use of a CMV, driving a CMV when the CDL is suspended or revoked, causing a fatality through negligent operation of a CMV. You will lose your CDL for at least 3 years if the offense occurs while you are operating a CMV that is placarded for hazmat. You will lose your CDL for life for a second offense. You will lose your CDL for life if you use a CMV to commit a felony involving controlled substances. You will be put out of service for 24 hours if you have any detectable amount of alcohol under 0.04%. 1.3.3 Serious traffic violations. Serious traffic violations are excessive speeding 15 miles per hour or more above the posted limit, reckless driving, improper or erratic lane changes, following a vehicle too closely, traffic offenses committed in a CMV in connection with fatal traffic accidents, driving a CMV without obtaining a CDL or having a CDL in the driver's possession, and driving a CMV without the proper class of CDL and or endorsements. You will lose your CDL for at least 60 days for 2 serious traffic violations within a 3-year period involving a CMV. 120 days for 3 or more serious traffic violations within a 3-year period involving a CMV. Section 1.3.4 Violation of out-of-service orders. You will lose your CDL for at least 90 days for your first violation of an out-of-service order. 1 year if you have committed 2 violations of an out-of-service order in a 10-year period. 3 years for 3 or more violations of an out-of-service order in a 10-year period. Section 1.3.5 Railroad highway grade crossing violations. You will lose your CDL for at least 60 days for your first violation, 120 days for your second violation within a 3-year period, 1 year for your third violation within a 3-year period. These violations include violation of a federal, state, or local law, or regulation pertaining to one of the following 6 offenses at a railroad highway grade crossing for drivers who are not required to always stop, failing to stop before reaching the crossing if the tracks are not clear, drivers who are not required to always stop, failing to slow down and check that the tracks are clear of an approaching train, drivers who are always required to stop, failing to stop before driving onto the crossing, all drivers failing to have sufficient space to drive completely through the crossing without stopping, all drivers failing to obey a traffic control device or the directions of an enforcement official at the crossing, all drivers failing to negotiate a crossing because of insufficient undercarriage clearance. Section 1.3.6 Hazardous materials endorsement, background check, and disqualifications. If you require a hazmat endorsement, you will be required to submit your fingerprints and be subject to a background check. You will be denied or will lose your hazmat endorsement if you are not a lawful permanent resident of the U.S., renounce your U.S. citizenship, are wanted or under indictment for certain felonies, have a conviction in military or civilian court for certain felonies, have been adjudicated as lacking mental capacity or involuntarily committed to a mental health facility as specified in CFR Title 49, Section 1572.109, are considered to pose a security threat as determined by the TSA. For more information, visit universalenroll.dhs.gov or call 1-855-347-8371. Section 1.3.7 Traffic violations in your personal vehicle. The motor Carrier Safety Improvement Act (MCSIA) of 1999 requires a CDL holder to be disqualified from operating a CMV if the CDL holder has been convicted of certain types of moving violations in their personal vehicle. If your privilege to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended due to violations of traffic control laws other than parking violations, you will also lose your CDL driving privileges. If your privilege to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended due to alcohol, controlled substance, or felony violations, you will lose your CDL for 1 year. If you are convicted of a second violation in your personal vehicle or CMV, you will lose your CDL for life. If your license to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended, you may not obtain a hardship license to operate a CMV. Section 1.3.8 Violation Point Counts. Convictions that occur while you are driving a CMV or CDL holder are retained on your driving record as listed below. Major violation and disqualification actions, 55 years. Out of service violation and disqualification actions, 15 years. Accidents, serious violations, and disqualification actions, 10 years. Railroad grade crossings and disqualification actions, 4 years. Minor convictions, 3 years. A traffic accident for driving unsafely counts as 1 point. Any accidents you contributed to or were responsible or at fault for are normally counted as 1 point. If you are convicted of reckless driving, driving under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, or hit and run, these violations count as 2 points. You will lose your privilege to drive if you are considered a negligent operator of a CMV when your driving record shows the following point counts: 4 points in 12 months, 6 points in 24 months, 8 points in 36 months. You may be entitled to a higher point count, 6, 8, or 10 points, if you request and appear for a hearing, and if 4, 6, or 8 points were not obtained in a non-commercial Class C vehicle. A violation received in a CMV carries 1.5 times the point count. A Class A or B driver who does not have a special certificate or endorsement may be allowed 2 additional points before being considered a negligent operator. Convictions reported by other states are added to your driving record and may result in CDL sanctions. If you have an out-of-state CDL, any conviction while operating in California will be reported to your home state. Note, when a commercial driver is cited in a non-commercial vehicle, the driver may be eligible to attend traffic school. CVC Section 42005C. Section 1.3.9 Violation of hands-free or texting law. Regardless of what type of vehicle you are in at the time of violation, you will lose your CDL for at least 60 days for your second violation of the cell phone hands-free or texting law within a 3-year period and receive 1 point on your driving record. 120 days of your third and subsequent violations of the cell phone hands-free or texting law within a 3-year period and receive 1 point on your driving record.